Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, continuing my build of the Estes BOSS. Now, let's see what we've got here. Do you want to have a look and see what, if anything, needs to be done with the disc here? Sometimes, the lamination is a little suspect. I mean, it's pretty good. There's one spot on the top that looks a little not quite bonded well, but honestly, I'm pretty pleased with it. This'll do. Alright, so that's good. We're not going to need that for a while. These two bits are ready to attach, and that's where we're going to pick things up. So, these end caps are going to work like plugs, and they are going in the side that does not have that yellow ring that we put in. And if they were properly built, and this one at least appears to be, it's going to fit just ever so gently in the tube, which is nice. So that looks pretty good. Since it's barely going in, it's going to take practically no glue at all. So I'm going to go very light on the glue here if I can muster that. Yeah, that's probably enough. And I'll grab the dowel here, spread it thin. That's probably more than I need. Don't need that at all. Alright, so in it goes this little bit. I'm going to try to spin it around to smear the glue as best as I can. That looks good. Repeat the process with the other one. Let's move those for a moment. Okay, that should be more than enough. Again. Alright. And there we go. Alright. Now I'm going to continue working on these. Actually, I tell you what, we're going to skip around a little bit. I want the glue to dry at least a little bit on those before I attach the pylons to this and then wrap that part up. What I'm going to do now is there's a jig that we're going to need later to actually attach these to get the spacing right between them. So I'm just going to put the jig together. This is the extra pieces that were in the part that has hemispheres in it. So I'm just going to cut these out. This requires like no sanding whatsoever because this is not something that's going to end up going into the finished product. There are a bunch of Estes designs over the years that I've built that have had these jigs built into them. It's usually because you need to get a very specific angle, and it's tricky to do otherwise. So we'll just cut these out quickly. Alright, and then this sheet, I don't see anything else we need for that, so that can end up off in the trash because we don't need that anymore. And the jig, these are nice because the way that they've designed them, they basically work like a jigsaw puzzle. So we've got these pieces are going to go like so, they're going to go up down like this, and then everything's going to just piece together like so. And this is going to support these tubes when they attach. Just to make sure that you can see that this wobbles a little bit. We're going to just tack this together in a few places with a little bit of glue. Okay, and then flip it over. Alright. Okay, we're not looking for anything beautiful here. All I really need is for this to hold, and even if it were at an angle, bad angles put together for whatever reason, it shouldn't really make much of a difference. But I'd rather avoid that. So let's try to get everything nice and squared. I'm just going to hold this for a little bit. Probably don't even need to hold it, but always good plan. Alright, good enough. I'm going to just set that aside for the moment and let it dry. That step comes fairly far along in the instructions, but this seems like a good time to do it. Alright, so hopefully this will be a bit of a quicker video. Let's put these pylons on. Now, even though this isn't, it is a fin essentially, so I'm going to follow my usual strategy here for attaching fins. So I'm going to put a thin layer of glue on, and I'm going to let it sit for good 30 seconds, and then I'm going to put the second layer on. Throw away these little bits of scrap that have been floating around apparently. I only want to deal with one of these at a time. And I've got some extraneous glue on my hand. Probably not the worst thing, but something to be avoided. Alright, so this is going to go, let's flip it over, on the line, and I've already put my 1/4 inch mark there. That's where it's going to go. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how well this design actually flies, because it's very light on traditional fins. It's from Estes' early days, actually. Never actually got produced until now. But there was a lot of creative design going on in the early days. Not that there isn't now, but lots of experimentation. Alright, so I'm going to do my best to make sure that this is on nice and straight. And I'm just going to hold it like this for a good 30 seconds as well to make sure that the glue is more or less set. And then I'm going to check for alignment. Now, typically, we have multiple fins and we want to make sure that they are all set at a specific angle relative to each other. Well, there's only one piece of wood here, so all we really need to do, or all we really can do, is to make sure that it is perpendicular to the tube, which is actually a little harder than you might think. I also want to make sure that the pylon here is right down the middle of that line, and it looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but I don't think I want to mess with it at this point. I'm pretty content with what I've got here. Alright, so looking down the line, this is basically, I'm just going to eyeball this. There's not really a whole lot we can do about it. I just want to make sure that it is perpendicular to the tube. It seems to be, so great. Once this is dry, that's kind of a mess. Let's try to smooth that out a little bit better. There we go. These need fillets. I'm going to put fillets on them after everything's dried, but before the next step. I don't need these for a bit, but it's still, I want them as strong as possible. Alright, so moving on to the next one, same deal. 2 layers of glue. And then let it sit for a little bit. And then on to the next thing. So in looking ahead at the instructions, it looks like the next part is going to require, or is going to be the part where I start attaching things to the main body tube. So there's a decent amount of fin attaching in a variety of different ways here. So good practice for that. It's good to get this done too. The good news is, in looking at all this too, sometimes you have a tough construction job, but a pretty easy paint job, and this seems to be one of them. Most of the ship is going to be white, except for one little bit that is going to be black. and that should not be hard to mask, so that's reassuring. Alright, let's apply this, and I'm lining things up at one end, and then I'm just going to kind of roll it forward and hold it there for a bit and check my alignment. Hopefully I don't need to move it. And these are so small that it feels like I shouldn't need to do much in the way of realignment, as long as I was careful with that initial application, which, fingers crossed, you know, hopefully I was. And then make sure that it's straight up and down. Alright, let's see how I did. I'm going to, again, smooth that glue out. It looks pretty well aligned. I mean, it's a little, kind of uniformly shifted a little too far toward me, but as long as it's consistent, that shouldn't be a problem. Smooth the glue out on this side too. And then look for vertical alignment. It's kind of hard to tell, unfortunately. The top here is shifting though. It seems to be a little loose. I'm not entirely sure why. So I'm gonna, oh shoot. Yeah, well that could happen too, I guess. Lovely. Alright, well, let's try this again. Alright, well, I mean that happens from time to time. I'm gonna put new fillets on, or fillet on this anyway. But did end up messing things up quite a bit there. That's alright, I'm gonna put glue over top of it anyway. One thing I would caution you about though is this balsa is gonna flex. You know, it could bow into a C shape, which would be bad. You might actually have a hard time noticing that when you're applying it like so. So that's definitely something you would want to look at as you're holding it like this to check for alignment that it is actually straight. Again, I did not have it like vertical alignment. There's that perpendicular wasn't that hot, and that's how I ended up knocking the thing over anyway. So, all right, that looks passable anyway. Yeah, I still don't. I'm not 100% on this. I don't love this one. It just doesn't quite feel like it's in the right spot. But I think, yeah, and this end is like popping off the tube again. Like there wasn't enough glue to hold it in place, or I knocked it loose. Not sure which. Maybe both. Probably me knocking it loose, but who knows? Might not have been enough glue too. Alright. Well, I think that's about as good as it's going to get, so I'm going to put that aside, let it dry. Between now and the next video, I need to put fillets on those. That's probably not worth watching. You know, I might include that in the next video. The main thing I need to do is use the included tube marking diagram to put marks on one of the body tubes. That I never include in these videos because I need to go use a door jamb, basically, and I'm not taking that with me. Alright, so in the intervening time then, I will make those marks, and then we'll start attaching the fins. Sounds good. Alright, I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.